Hi, everybody. My name's Eli. I'm here at Ethereum Denver with Kat. She is the CMO of Space and Time. So, Kat, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Is this your first Ethereum Denver? What do you think so far?
This is, I think, my fourth ETH Denver.
Okay.
It's funny. It feels so different year to year, and this year, especially with the new venue and the market,
Yeah,
feels
yeah, yeah.
very, very different from last year. But honestly, I kind of like it. I like the vibe of having it a little bit more pared down. A little bit of the noise is filtered out. We're kind of back to just like the OG builders, like seeing a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people that have been here a long time. And a lot of like high quality projects represented. So
Ah.
I take it.
Okay. I know a lot of people I've talked to have kind of said it's more like a quality over
Yeah.
quantity kind of thing
Yeah, I
here
agree.
here this year. How long have you been in the space?
I've been here full time for 4 years now. That's how long I've been with Space and Time. Space and Time was my first like full time entree
Oh, okay.
into crypto. I had kind of dipped my toes in it before, having just like graduated college and looking for places to invest my money and
Yeah.
us kind of discovering new asset classes. It was like right around DeFi summer, and so
Okay.
heard about Ethereum and like kind of got into that world, and then the Space and Time opportunity cropped up, and I jumped in and never looked back. So
Okay.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Space and Time. What do you do with them? What does Space and Time do? I'd
Yeah.
love to learn more.
Yeah. So Space and Time is the data blockchain securing on chain finance.
Okay.
So we essentially built a decentralized database network that ZK proves data for smart contracts.
Oh, okay.
So super technical, but
Yeah.
to like break down the utility of it, I guess, just giving smart contracts broader access to data to make decisions off of enables like more sophisticated financial protocols on chain.
Oh, okay.
So like more sophisticated DeFi, more sophisticated tokenized assets, more sophisticated stablecoin rewards. Like all of these things need database infrastructure, which didn't previously exist in Web3. So that's the problem that we kind of came into the space to
Okay.
solve. I lead marketing and growth for them. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been kind of more on like this community building side and, sales side of things. And it's been cool to see adoption. It was such a like research and development heavy driven project, especially in the first few years, just trying to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
But we've been live on mainnet since last May. And
Oh,
so like kind of shifted fully into builder adoption.
yeah.
And, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, for sure. So when you talk about more sophisticated data, like I guess what does that actually look like? You know what I mean?
yeah, I'll give a couple examples. So on the tokenized asset front, obviously this last year we've seen a lot of institutions dipping their toes into that and starting to spin up real production use cases for tokenized assets. And initially, a lot of those pilots were focused on really simple asset classes, like things that are really easy to pull data from, like stocks, right?
Okay.
Tokenized equities is just a price speed of the stock.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like going from one to the other and
Right, yeah. It's very
target,
easy to
yeah.
point,
Yeah.
like, you use a chain link or something for that, and it works great.
Okay.
Now they're starting to look at much more sophisticated assets, like collateralized loans and things that pull from much more sophisticated data sources, or maybe do some computation over data or aggregate data together.
Oh,
And you need some sort of data computation engine to do that. And unfortunately, if you're doing that in like a centralized database and then relaying it on chain, there's all kinds of points of failure introduced into the stack.
yeah, yeah.
And then whatever you're tokenizing on chain, which is obviously, permanent and immutable in its own way, is at risk.
Right.
So Space and Time kind of plugs into that stack really easily to where institutions can super easily integrate it into their existing data systems. And it becomes sort of like the verification layer that sits in between to ensure that the data composing these assets
Okay.
is real and
Okay.
not being manipulated or lost or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then, I mean, do you have like node operators that are running around
Yeah.
the world? How many node operators do you have? Like, what does that person look like? Are they a person? Are they an institution? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's both really. Like we've got some solo validators as well as some more institutional ones.
Okay.
Obviously we've just got some baseline hardware and staking requirements to be part of the active set.
Yeah.
I think the active set is about 18 validators right now with 32 in the total pool.
Oh, yeah.
Thereabouts.
Okay.
But yeah, it is a blockchain, right? Like it's a blockchain that only does data inserts and data withdrawals. So rather than like transactions, or it's not a chain that runs like dexes for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all you can do is create a table, insert data, and query that data. But other than that, it is like structurally a blockchain with a decentralized network of validators who are validating the data that comes.
Yeah. Okay. And so, I mean, is there, the person that kind of uses Spacing Time, I mean, or the project, I guess, are we like looking at basically all of Web3 is kind of open to working with you all?
100%. Yeah. Especially a lot of projects that are like getting off the ground and just starting to build their stack love to plug in with Space and Time because it's just so self-service. It's so easy and takes away a lot of the headache of other solutions that you have to stitch together. But I would say like financial focused use cases are definitely the ones that are
Okay.
most interested in Space and Time because when do you care the most about whether data is accurate? It's when value is being secured or is moving. And so we're particularly suited for financial use cases, but we have partners and customers like all across the stack doing all kinds of stuff from gaming to NFT.
Okay.
A lot of anyone who needs data needs Space.
Okay. And so then, if I'm a project and I work with Space and Time and I get hooked up and I start getting this data, I mean, are projects themselves the one that then use their own data, or are they, what I mean?
Totally. It's either. So we provide like index blockchain data as a service within the network. So if you just want to look at what's happening on Ethereum, for example, that's already included. But we also have the option for you to insert and secure your own data sets. So if you want to stream in data from your app or your customer database
Yeah.
or, other actions that are happening off chain, it's really easy to create tables on Space and Time with that as well. And then you can actually like join it with the on-chain data, right? Like what is my customer doing in my app and what is their
other places too?
yeah, and kind of see like a unified view of that. So that's the other benefit too, is like if you're looking at a centralized database or, any other option, you're having to like also spin up an indexing protocol to get the on-chain data and pull it from separate sources. And there's just all these like complex points of failure that connect all together. And if one of them goes down, the whole thing blows up.
Yeah.
Space and Time's like one platform, all your data needs, verifiable, secure, and 50 times.
Yeah, for sure. And so then this Space and Time, I mean, do you guys, do you generate revenue like every time something's queried, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very similar to how like Chainlink does their
Okay.
fees. It's like a fee model, a gas model. So anything that generates like workload on the network costs fees, and then those fees are distributed amongst network participants, validators, stakers.
Yeah. How hard is it to set up, become a validator? Is, some process where you have to work with like the internal team with you guys, or is it, community approved thing?
It's self-service and it's just based on stake, right? So however much community stake you have and stake you're putting up yourself determines whether you're in the active slot.
Oh, okay.
We obviously are available for help onboarding,
Yeah.
but it's self-service. Like you could go download the docs from GitHub today and get spun up and
okay.
convince the community to stake with you and become part of the active set. So it's
Yeah.
totally permissionless. And it's been, it's cool to see like this product you built for 4 years evolve into like an actually be.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of use to the
Yeah.
data. Like, I mean, if I wanted to kind of get more involved, like, I mean, is this like an open source thing? Like, can I just come in and dev, like,
Yeah.
on the protocol?
100%. Yeah, 100%. The protocol's open source. It's all on GitHub. You can actually, I think, go to spaceandtime.io/GitHub, and that will take you to the repo
Okay.
where it has all of that. But we're always looking for contributors, especially on the ZK side. Like the ZK proof that we've developed on top of Space and Time to prove all of this data is sort of like the flagship product, I guess, or
Okay.
the flagship component in the network, the thing that makes this all possible. And we're always trying to make that faster and always trying to expand the support of what SQL functions it supports to reach new use cases.
Mhm.
So that's like particularly where we invite contributors. But yeah, I mean, dig into it.
Do you have like, a DevRel kind of community, and you have like, is there like maybe, grants or like kind of incentives to give?
Yeah, well, I can actually kind of tease where we're coming out with sort of a grants program just to like, incentivize builders and also just subsidize the costs of usage, right? Because we talked about that fee model.
Yeah.
We want to make it as easy as possible for first-time builders to get up and running with Space and Time. So we're going to be announcing some of those usage grants very shortly, maybe before this comes out. Who knows? Yeah. And yeah, we do have a DevRel community. Again, like we're such an evergreen, like ubiquitous kind of piece of infrastructure. So we appeal to everyone, and we see a lot of like participants from hackathons and people who reach us through those channels,
Yeah.
like really build out their MVP like through space and time because of what it enables for them.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
yeah.
And then your job. So then, I mean, you spend a lot of your job as far as like the kind of content that you make is, I mean, is it like kind of taking these technical concepts and making them digestible?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. It's very educational. I found that like our builder community and our technical community gets it pretty quick because it is such a pain point for them that we're solving.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to connect with like our actual user and customers. But the general community, right? People who want to participate, who believe in like what we're building in or
Yeah.
participate by staking,
The
whatever.
ethos stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
ethos. Yeah, it's definitely like that's been our biggest challenge over the years is kind of breaking this down into bite-sized pieces. And we've learned a lot, of course. Like we've pivoted the narrative, never pivoted the product.
Yeah.
Pivoted how we talk about it here and there. And I've just found that like it's easiest to start with the use cases, right? Like identify where the pain points we're seeing are in the market, how we're solving it, and kind of work backwards from there.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what people
Yeah.
most.
So then I guess speaking of pain points, I mean, what are you like this year? Like, what do you see are some of the big pain points where, you guys can kind of come in
Yeah.
and solve that?
So the one I already mentioned is like institutional tokenization, right? Allowing them to tokenize more sophisticated assets. Another is just expanding like the scope of DeFi. So giving DeFi protocols a way to look into the past on chain, right?
Okay.
So like a lending example is like a lending protocol can see a wallet's history and see what they've done in the past so they can give them a better or worse borrowing rate and just have better risk adjusted return from the loans they give out. Some more sophisticated DeFi is another one. And then lastly would be like rewards, right? Like looking at a user's activity both on chain and off chain in your app or your Discord or whatever, and kind of aggregating that all together into whether it's an airdrop or a whitelist or whatever. And giving permissioning it that way through this like trustless ZK proven engine. So you're not having to manually calculate it. Your community can audit it and see exactly what parameters were used.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting for protocols, but also the one I'm like really excited about is stablecoin issuers who are like, waiting to hear any day now what comes of this like yield for how this battle in Washington, like how are they able to issue rewards? What does that look like? What are the restrictions? And obviously the big thing is they want to compete with traditional banking deposits, which offer yield. And that's how they attract and retain users. And stablecoins, at least in the US and the EU, aren't able to do that. But generally in TradFi, usage-based rewards are considered to be separate from yield. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
And so if we can provide the engine to build trustless, decentralized usage-based rewards that the issuer themselves is not controlling and not running in-house or a third party isn't running in-house, then, we give them this new engine to compete with the deposit market and offer users incentives and rewards that are compliant with these rates.
Right. Yeah, so like so many like regulatory and compliance things that are kind of like in the way and like preventing a lot of these.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a legal expert, right? Like I can't get down and dirty with the compliance stuff. But there is something to be said about like putting this in the hands of a decentralized trustless system where no one's controlling it versus the stablecoin issuer or their partner taking on the risk and all of the compliance, potential compliance issues there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I guess you had mentioned something about a token.
Mhm.
Do you guys have a token?
We do, yeah.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, we've had a live token since we launched on mainnet in May, and it's a utility token right? So gas fees are paid in space and time, and very similar. I referenced Chainlink earlier. Very similar to their model. You can pay in USDC or ETH or whatever, and it'll be converted to space and time on the back end. So that's kind of a consumptive use.
Okay. So next question, I guess you've mentioned Chainlink a couple times.
Yeah.
Why space and time and not Chainlink, I guess? You know what I mean?
They're very complementary and they're like our best buddies in the space. I like to say we're really close partners with them. We were the first members at their build program, so kind of incubated in the Chainlink ecosystem. And the truth is a lot of DeFi protocols and institutions will use both, right? They'll use Chainlink for more price speed oriented use cases, like going back to the tokenization example, tokenized activities. Like That's a Chainlink use case. You don't need space and time for that. But when more complex data computations come to play, you might use space and time. The nice thing is Chainlink and space and time are very tightly integrated. So there's a lot of ways you can use space and time through Chainlink. You can use Chainlink through space and time. A lot of crossover.
They're like really complementary, it sounds like, instead of like, like
Yeah, we do a lot of co-selling with them too. Like they've been awesome partners. A lot of our customers are their customers and vice versa. And it's been great. Yeah, they're a great friend to have in the industry.
Cool. Okay, cool. So then, looking to the future, we already kind of talked about like what kind of things, the use cases, but like 6 months, a year, 5 years, what do you see space and time? Like, where are they going to be at? Or where,
Yeah. Well, we're really focused on, like I said, builder adoption and just kind of smoothing out the developer experience, getting the right incentives in place, like I mentioned, getting the right in front of the right customers and in front of the right buyers. And so like that really is our objective over the next 6 to 10 months, right? Like so much of the early days of space and time was focused on shipping and getting the product to where it is today. And we've done that successfully. It's a mature, working, reliable product live on mainnet, a working decentralized.
Which is a big deal in Web3. You know what I mean?
100%. And you think of how many projects die before they get there.
I mean, have a product.
Yeah, exactly. No real product. Like never, don't do anything with their VC dollars. We're not that, thankfully. And so now the focus shifts even more into how do we get the right people to use it? How do we drive usage of the network? How do we ensure that that usage translates and compounds into value for the participants of the network? It's just like a, classic challenge of the maturing protocol. And I think what I'm really excited about with space and time is I think we really have the right rails in place to ensure that that value does transfer to the network, right? And that the shareholders of the network, the participants, get to like enjoy in that success as well.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be a fun ride as it scales out.
Yeah. That's exciting. Well, where can we find you on socials? Like what's where do I go to learn more?
Yep, our website is spaceandtime.io. That's the best jumping off point. You can find all of our docs from there, more information about use cases, more information about how to contribute and build. And then we're at Space and Time on X. And Space and Time DB on Discord. So come join in on the fun.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time today, Kat.
Yeah,
a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Gen Z is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a house.
Rebecca's Gen Z Media House.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today.